Hello, Ben here, and welcome to Benjy's Cafe Podcast. My guest this week is the alcohol-free support coach, Andy Garwood. 7 years alcohol-free on May the 14th, Andy helps people worldwide break free from the grips of alcohol and rediscover their true potential. At the age of 52, Dad of 4 Andy decided enough was enough and has transformed his life. He now has more energy than a Duracell bunny. He completed his first triathlon at 52, he's climbed Kilimanjaro in Africa, and this year completed the London Marathon in his 60th year. Wow. Andy shares his inspiring route to sobriety and personal transformation, and discusses the profound changes in his life, including improved health, increased energy, and a newfound sense of purpose.
I'm proud of what I've done for myself. We can add years to our life, but the biggest thing is we're adding life to our years. We can climb that mountain at 60, we can run that marathon at 60, hopefully still doing them at 70. I'm forever grateful I found this life at 52. What a beautiful thing to do.
You'll be buzzing after this. I'm buzzing already. Let's go. Welcome to Benjy's Cafe Podcast, Andy Garwood. Good morning, Andy. How are you?
Good morning, Ben. Yeah, I'm all good. A bit different to I would have been on a Tuesday after a bank holiday, but yeah, loving life and feeling good, mate.
Well, firstly, congratulations on the marathon in your 6th year. My goodness, how are the legs?
Yeah, we had a little walk yesterday and 6 miles and I did my first 3-mile run on Sunday. So yeah, we're looking after them. I feel I could do more, but we've, as much as it's in the recovery as well, we've got to look after ourselves, not just in the training.
And the day itself, I mean, I plodded around it. I think it was 2016. I'm still hobbling, Andy, after that. My goodness, I'm like an old crocked giraffe, I tell you. But what an atmosphere in London. I mean, a great city anyway. But on marathon day, it's joyous, isn't it?
It's unreal. I mean, I probably watched it the first time. I remember pushing a pushchair around there when I was about 25 with my first boy, and never thought it was anything I'd ever do. I wasn't into running, never run in my life at school or anything unless we had to, or unless it was away from the police or anything like that. There I am, all them years later, what we're saying, 35 years later, and I run it, my local marathon, just unbelievable. This alcohol-free life never stops giving and amazing me.
It's joyous, isn't it? Andy, nearly 7 years alcohol-free. My goodness, you mentioned feeling the contrast in how you feel today after bank holiday to your drinking days. Yeah. Just what would have your bank holiday weekend looked like when you were drinking, Andy?
Well, depending on, weekends started on a Thursday night, I suppose, without a bank holiday. But yeah, it was just probably start off pretty heavy and then have to drink your way through it to feel okay. But, life wasn't just debauchery. I had built up a successful building company. I never had a day off work, even on a Tuesday like today after a bank holiday, I'd always be here. My children was always first at football weekends, things like that. But I wasn't present, when I look back, I thought I had everything so right. Like I say, built up a decent sized company, kids was always at football, I never had a day off work, all these things. But when you look back, fast forward, looking back, I had it so wrong. I really did. You get outside the jar and look back into where you was. It was just so wrong. It really was. I was just languishing through life, getting through week by week, day by day. And that's where I was. So I would have been here this morning feeling rough, but just getting on with life. And, I was just working. The best way to put it, I was working in my business. I was firefighting. That's all I was doing. 5.5 days a week working in my business. Whatever task is the most important, do that next. Now I work 3 days on my business. That is the difference. Work a lot less, earn more money. And the clarity is there. I've got the right people in charge. I was kidding myself all these years ago, which I didn't realise. We talk about the small steps, but, really big things. I know people who have moved to different continents, changed relationships, changed jobs. All these big, huge life events have happened because they've removed booze.
Isn't it wonderful, the contrast, the transformation? Before I stopped drinking, Andy, I'd kind of known realistically realistically 4 or 5 years that it was just too much. It was making me lethargic. The anxiety was rising, my depression. Was there any warning signs for you? Did you have any moments before you did call it a day where you were like, this is too much now, this is just becoming too much?
Yes, I think so. I never thought I'd give up.
Yeah.
Always tried to cut down, which never happened. I was a 7-day-a-week drinker. My not drinking Monday to Friday was 2 or 3 pints on the way home, pushing it, and then a couple of gin and tonics when I got home, maybe a
Yeah.
little bit more Monday to Wednesday, double that Thursday, triple it Friday and Saturday. It was scary stuff. I was 17 and a half stone. I've lost 35 kilos,
Wow.
37 kilos. It's like 77 pound in weight. When I look at it like that, it's like having, 77 pound is like 11 newborn babies wrapped around you. And I still thought I could lollop around a squash court. What I was putting my body under that pressure. And I just woke up on this Monday morning, and I described myself. I know I was an older dad. I was 52. My youngest was 6, and we'd moved to a new house in Billericay. And I was like the fat old dad at the school gates. That's how I used to berate myself. And I looked at my 6-year-old one Monday morning. I looked at myself in the mirror. I'd had this big ankle operation, and I'd been to football the day before. Put my Beckham boot on, hobbled over to football, probably jumping about like a madman. Can't remember getting home too much, very vaguely. Woke up on the Monday, looked at my foot was throbbing. I'd only had the cast off a week. And I caught a glimpse of my 6-year-old out the corner of my eye in his bed, and I thought, he deserves better than this. I'm 52, look at the state of me. Then I looked at myself deeply for 30
Yeah.
seconds, which is quite a long time when you don't like yourself, to look yourself in the mirror. And I thought, I deserve better than this. And I signed up to this 90-day challenge. Never, ever thought I'd sign up forever. And the rest is history. I mean, I got to 85 days. I was going on an all-inclusive holiday to Cyprus, and my 90 days was up on that holiday. And I said to my wife then, I don't think I'm going to drink. What do you mean? Your 90 days up? Well, I feel too good. I come
Yeah.
out of this cloud, and I say the rest is history. It really is, Ben.
Oh, it's that feeling, isn't it? Like you say, you come out the cloud, the smog of dullness. It's like joyous. It's like wonderful. And what I love there, Andy, how you're glowing now. You're so effervescent. You mentioned there that you actually felt too sad to look at yourself, that you didn't like yourself. I just wondered, when you did stop, how long those little building blocks of confidence were kind of lodged back into place for you? Was it?
It was very small steps, Ben. Yeah, I mean, to
Yeah.
be fair, when I got to sort of 85 days, that's what there's a reason, a lot of people come to me, I say, let me get you to 100 days, because somewhere between 70 and 100 days, this magic happens. We come out of this fog, we get outside the jar, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it was small steps. I used to hate clothes shopping. I used to hate, because looking back, I didn't realise it at the time. I hated myself, really. I
Yeah.
did. And we've got to get this self-love back. Until we love ourselves, we can't love anyone else, really. We think we can, but we can't. And it was small, small steps. Even then at 90 days, I never thought forever. But then probably around September time, so that would have been 6 months, I disapped the money I was saving. I spent some of it on a bike, and I started cycling. And then for my year challenge, I signed up for this. I swam like a lead balloon, never run. I hadn't run for years.
Yeah.
I done one running race at 40 years old. Someone said you can't run 10k in less than an hour, so I signed up for a Southend 10k at 40 years old
Yeah.
and ran it in like 58 minutes. That's the only thing I'd ever done. So I'd done this very small triathlon for a year. I trained for that, so that started to get me. That was only a triathlon sprint, so it was a 400-metre swim, 25-mile bike and a 5-mile run. So I trained for that from sort of October, November till the April when my year was up, to the May, sorry, when my year was up. And that started to give me a little bit more purpose. And my first run, I can remember running 100 yards and thinking, everything hurts, my ankle,
Yeah.
everything was wrong. I mean, it was starting then, small, small incremental steps from about 6 months. I started to think, I can do something. Starting to get a bit of love back for myself. I did my first park run on the Christmas day. I look back, it was about 37, 38 minutes. I got round there, sorry, Boxing Day it was. At
Yeah.
38 minutes, and now 7 years later, it's like 22 minutes.
Wow.
It's all these things that you can't preach to anyone. All you can be is this lighthouse. And I think when we go on this journey, we all overestimate where we're going to be in a year, but we underestimate where we're going to be in 5. And looking back, that's what I tell people. But that is certainly the case. Maybe think I might have been in a better place after a year, but where I am now, some 7 years, but where I got to in 5 years, I think it was off the charts. I never thought I would be that person in my life.
Well, on your Life Beyond Booze Instagram page, Andy, there's a before and after picture there. I think when you were injured, just before you said cheerio to the booze, and the contrast in you aesthetically. I'm sure there's a massive mental clarity now as well, which we'll touch on shortly. But aesthetically, the difference is unbelievable. And I showed a friend of mine when I knew we were going to be chatting, and she was like, "He's 60. He's got a bloody six-pack." I was like, "Yeah, all right." I mean, my go-to now is the biscuit barrel, so I'm way off that. But you look so good, and you must be so proud. And what I love about it is, you using exercise to slowly build up that self-love as well.
Yeah. It's like you say, the mental clarity as well. But I mean, the physical side, I think there's no destination and we stop, is there? It's not to get to somewhere and we've made it. It's, keep pushing ourselves, getting out of our comfort zone a bit with everything we do, whether it's business, relationships, travel, certainly fitness, because, we're made to do hard things. As I say to people, we don't know what our body can really do. It's unbelievable. I set some 5-year goals, which was from my coach. I was told, reach for the stars, something you really don't think you can get to. It's the equivalent of winning the lottery. And up there in my office, I've got a vision board behind me, which I set 6 years ago. And it really was, I'm looking at it for my children and myself and life of, if you could just reach for the stars, that's where you'd be. And I'm there if I want to be,
Yeah.
I've got an elderly mum who's 92 I have to be around for, and there's a few things stopping me from being exactly where I want to be, but I could be there if I wanted. This was where I am now is just, I would have laughed you off the block, if you said where I'd be now. It's just unreal, and I think we're all finding it, Ben. We really are.
Yeah, I completely agree. The idea for this podcast, it'd still be lodged somewhere back here, Andy, just putting it off, making excuses. And from taking that leap of faith, the confidence that being alcohol-free has given me, just to give so many things a go, just see what you can grab back for yourself. There's so many opportunities out there. It's given me a newfound confidence, happiness, a joy, a spark. It's led to other projects and just almost like the fearlessness of, you're kind of free, aren't you, to make so many more connections that you just don't know what might bring to you.
Well, you mentioned connection there, and you've been fearless. And one of the biggest things that people fail on is connection. At the beginning, you think your world. I've got friends who are still in that circle.
Yeah.
And if they was told you can't drink for the rest of your life, they would think their life is over. Simple as that. What do I do?
Yeah.
And connection is key. And it's a lot of what a lot of people fall down on, and this is why it's small incremental changes. And I've spoke to a lot of people who, a certain lady I'm thinking of now, I'm going to meet in a week on one of my walks, and she messaged me out of the blue and said, I just got no connection. Put her in touch with a few groups. She now meets people. She says, now, we haven't got enough time in the day, enough time in the years, enough time for the rest of our life to meet all the people all over the world. I've climbed, like I say, I've trekked to Kilimanjaro. I set a little group up from Washington, DC, from Washington State, from Canada, from Luxembourg. We met at Amsterdam airport and went off to Tanzania. We'd never met apart from online. I've climbed to Everest Base Camp with groups of people. All these small races we do all over the country, treks we organise. We haven't got enough time for the connection now. It's beautiful. I mean, we are the vanguard, I think. We know it's the biggest growing the wellness industry is one of the it's going to be the biggest growing industry in the world in the next 10 years. But alcohol free within that wellness industry is the biggest growing sector. When I started 7 years ago, all there was Beck's Blue and Heineken Zero.
Yeah.
Now there is every beer, every wine, every gin. They haven't done it for the good of themselves, the alcohol industry. They've had to do it. They've had to
Yeah.
respond. It's a multi-billion-pound industry now. Guinness spent £10 million perfecting, Guinness. And we've been sold this lie for years. It's a class one carcinogen. It's in the same bracket as asbestos and tobacco and radioactivity. It is a class one carcinogen. It's, classed by the World Health Organization. Ireland are the first country now they're going to put health warnings on drink. It's as simple as
Wow.
that. We've been sold this lie for years. And we're not there to scaremonger, but they're there to give people the facts and they can make
Yeah.
that decision on their own. Everything was a rush to get the first pint in. It really was. Going back to this connection thing of people being, without alcohol, their life would be over. With life, we are the product of our six closest
Yeah.
associates. We say that all the time. Hang about with six bank robbers, you're going to be the seventh. Six millionaires, you're going to be the seventh. Hang about, where I stood at the bar years ago. That's what we was, the boys drinking at the end of the bar. When I moved away, they probably thought I was joining some cult or something and I'd be back. Someone else has since moved away and is 4 years alcohol free. And
Yeah.
then they start to think to themselves, well, hold on a minute, why are they moving away? They see us growing as people and building this new real connection, real,
Yeah.
not, take away the alcohol. Is there a lot of connection with some people? When you look at it, when you stepped outside the jar, it wasn't real connection. It was only through drink. How can you
Yeah.
sit at a bar for 4 hours every week, talk the same old rubbish? It's because,
Yeah.
you're masking it with drink.
And do you think our generation, Andy, they're still finding it harder for the penny to drop as opposed to the younger generation? My nephew, he's 20, he's at university, and of course they'll have a night out, but it's not massively on the radar. I look back to my student days. It was I should have got a BA honours in Foster's. Really, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
And it's proven the millennials are drinking less. Whether that is because they've seen their parents drinking too much, we don't think it's that. There's a lot more alternatives now as well. But they're into their bodies. They're into the gym. My son, who's 28, he's hardly drink. They go to a festival and have a drink, but week on week they won't. They're into their sport. They're into this outside stuff. My 33-year-old is actually over 6 months alcohol free now.
Wow.
He's had enough, and I never preached to him. I never could.
Yeah.
And he probably turned him the other way. If anything, he probably put it off for longer,
Yeah.
thinking I'm not gonna, not conform's the wrong word, but life's going out of control a bit. Never going to reach your full potential drinking, however much it is. It does nothing. It just takes so much away. And apart from that, like we say, it's a class one carcinogen. A very small percentage of actually contracting these things, but you add into the risk all the time. Are you prepared to take that risk? How you look after yourself in your 30s, 40s, and 50s is how you're going to be in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And if you get to your 80s, do you want to be that person at 65 years old in the corner of the garden at the barbecue in a chair, or do you want to be the 60-year-old swinging about your grandchildren, playing football with them in the back of the garden? Things like this, you've got to play it forward and think about this. When you actually can see it, when you get outside, it's a no-brainer, Ben. It really is. It's one short, precious life. That's what we say to everyone.
Well, you're certainly going to be that energetic, sport-loving granddad, Andy. That's for sure. My goodness, it's honestly you're so inspiring. I've got such a massive. It's not even 10 o'clock yet on a Tuesday morning after bank holiday, and I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat. I love it. Andy, you mentioned one of the catalysts of saying goodbye to alcohol was seeing your son and thinking he deserves better than that. In what ways now would you say your relationships have changed with your family, with your friends, and how much better are you as a father, would you say, now that you've got the energy, you've got the time to be present?
Um, well, a lot's changed. I did that triathlon and they come and supported me. I was on this £1,000 race that I'd bought, what I told you about. I bought in the October. They come and supported me and they see the guys with the six packs and the £10,000 racer, and
Yeah.
the real proper triathletes, and they probably didn't know what a triathlon was at 6 and 10. They probably didn't. But about a month afterwards, in the May, they said to me, with nothing at all for me, can we do a triathlon? And so the following year we did a kids triathlon. We went for the weekend. They did the triathlon at 7 and 11, the children, kids one, and I did an adults one on the Sunday. That never would have happened. It started to change their lives. They're both quite good footballers anyway. But I think I've been able to use, certainly in the last few years as well, my coaching skills. And I've split up with their mum now, which was all good, and
Yeah.
we're a lot better friends now than we have. But to be able to take them away last year and sow some seeds. We was in America, and I had a road trip with them, and use these coaching skills, use this being presentness and having them in the car for hours at a time. And even that, they've come back different people. They want to aspire to be this person in life that, they've seen me grow. They come and supported me at the London Marathon. First thing the 16-year-old said to me, I'm going to do it when I'm 18. It's as simple as that, isn't it? That you get that at the finish line when they say, "Yeah, well done, Dad, I'm going to do it when I'm 18." That sort of thing. This was nothing. This wasn't one of my big whys. To be a lighthouse, but you realise, you're shining this, and it's not just your children. For other people who, you put out the free stuff on Facebook and Instagram. I've got a Facebook group, Life Beyond Booze, as well. You're that beacon of light for people, the small amount who are like I was, or nowhere near as bad as I was if you really look at it, what I was drinking and how I was going, physically and mentally. And I think, well, he's done it, there is hope. You can change your life in midlife. 40, 50, 60, 70 is not too old to change your life, If you think at 52, and you've drunk since 8, probably before, but your adult life from 18 to 52, if you're going to live till 86, you're only halfway through your adult life. You don't want to write off these next 10, these next 2 or 3 decades. You can still give back. You can still, you've got all this lovely wisdom. We've learned. It's not something we can teach. This wisdom that we've, certainly for alcohol-free living, what we've learned, we can share it. Chip Conley talks about midlife and, not being a crisis. It can be a chrysalis, and that's exactly what happened with me giving up alcohol. It was this chrysalis of going into this gooey state for a couple of years, of 52 to 54, and then emerging, not as a beautiful butterfly, but emerging as, I'm going to coach people, I'm going to give back, I'm going to do this with my business, I'm going to start this business, this is going to happen, I'm going to move to here. These are the projects I want to do. This is what, I'm going to help my children to grow through this. All, you come out with all these things that you never would have found about yourself. Things you do when you get to this authentic self, you didn't even know I liked doing them. I thought the only way up a mountain was on a chairlift, climbing it. I didn't think I liked walking. There's nothing better than climbing to the top of a mountain somewhere, wherever you are on holiday. And it seems to be an alcohol-free thing. I think we all like to get to the top of somewhere. And climb. It's just, I think, what as humans, what was meant to be outside.
And I don't know about you, Andy, but I find that my senses, my emotions are so heightened. Like even this morning, I'm a softy brummy. I tell you, I was out on my morning walk, had some, I think I ended up listening to the best of David Foster. He wrote for Whitney Houston and Bublé, amongst others. Pizza Tira, that's my go-to. I love it. And I'm getting married in September, and I started getting emotional about that. I was thinking, what's going on? The summer's out, had some lovely music on, and I was literally tearing up thinking about how lucky I am, how happy I am. But it is hard work, isn't it? You must work hard to get your exercise in, but I hope you know how much you inspire people. Your Motivation Monday posts, and I'm thinking, I get it. I get how he's feeling, and your energy is infectious. Your enthusiasm is infectious, and I really hope you know how many people you must help, even from afar.
It's amazing. People watch from the sidelines. Visibly, you don't know, and you get a text out of the blue. I mean, not just the people I've coached, but people, they don't put themselves out there. And then you get, an email or a text saying, I've got to 90 days down to you. Thanks so much. I mean, I walked down to the beach near me on Tuesday, I think, and I just took a picture of the sunset. I thought, I'll put that on. And I just put a one line little caption with it and didn't think it meant nothing. The next morning, on Wednesday morning, I got a text from a guy. Said, I was really going to drink last night and I see your picture and what you posted with the text. It was just what I needed. I woke up this morning. I'm so grateful. I didn't drink last night. And you think just that small little thing, which I didn't think meant nothing, but I thought I'd just shared what I was seeing and put a text with it about the slow incremental steps of this journey and, bear with it. Everything doesn't happen straight away. And, you think, it's so cool. And I'll say it's the best group on the internet, the alcohol-free community. It really is. It's non-judgmental, people who used and drunk all their lives. I actually had a viral post on TikTok. I don't use TikTok a lot, but it went to 3.1 million views. This is the kids was like, Dad, you dare post on TikTok? They went to school on the Monday. And their teachers was like, your dad's famous. He's on, it went viral. And this post, it had something like 10,000 comments, I think, on it. You get a few, berators and people, and there was people coming out of the blue, Ben, from all over the world saying, I'm 30 years drug and drink free. I'm 20 years drug and drink free. Follow this, do this, keep going. You on day one. People coming on who are 30 years sober, putting posts on, supporting other people. It never goes away because everyone realises, how they was. And it is the best. I still say now, it's the best group on the internet. It really is. It's my little Facebook group, it's non-judgmental. We all help each other. We share our wins. There's loads as well for people. Never ever give up, because to be removed from the chains of alcohol is just life-changing. It's invigorating. And, just if you're thinking about it, we say it's one day or day one. Just start. I mean, the day I started on that Monday, on the Saturday was the royal wedding and the FA Cup final. And there was a brash Yorkshireman having his party, which I got told by my nearest and dearest and him on the Tuesday. I'd only not drunk on the Monday now. This was the first day.
Yeah.
You've got to drink this weekend because it's the party. By Wednesday, I got told, if you don't drink, there's no point in you coming. And that's what I was told on the Wednesday. I took my alcohol-free drinks on the Saturday morning. The girls had all gone dressed up to watch the royal wedding. The lads went in the afternoon for the FA Cup final. As I walked through the door, I got a can of Stella pushed in my face. Go on, Andy, get that down. No, I told you I'm not drinking. Half hour later, the same thing again. And then after that, they're all drunk. They all forget. But that's how hard that first week was. People say to me, I'm going to wait till my 40th birthday. I've got a wedding coming up. I've got so-and-so's 18th coming up. There's never a good time to start. You're going to get through all these anniversaries. You're going to get through your Christmases, your first Easter, your first time through an airport at 85 days. That was a really big trigger. You see everyone in the champagne bar in Wetherspoons, whatever floats your boat. You're looking at everyone. You've got a drink because you haven't got a drink.
Yeah. What I love is these family parties and first night parties or occasions. I feel so much more sociable because I can be myself and I've got the energy to make connections and, want to chat to people as opposed to thinking, oh, where's the bar, or can we just get through this drive home so I can crack open a beer at home? It's made me even more sociable. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And everyone, I get it all the time. I've got this wedding coming up. What am I going to do? I'm going to be the only one there not drinking. We catastrophise all this. We make this up. You'll get to the wedding, there'll be other people not drinking. You'll be on a table next. You'll make these beautiful connections, real connections. It's not fake. It's still the hardest thing is to dance alcohol free. I didn't tell you that, but making shakes, that is the one thing that's hard. But I've been to 3 weddings in Ireland, one year after the next, all cousins, and the first one. Well, I'll tell you a little story. It was the beast from the east. We had that big weather storm coming.
Yeah.
All the flights cancelled from Stansted. It took us 2 days to get there. We walked into this church in our jeans with our suitcases, made the wedding after a day travelling, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we went off to the castle. We had a few drinks on the way. Went off to the castle. I got all the family drinks for the rooms. I was getting ready. By 9 o'clock that night, I was paralytic in bed.
Oh,
Simple as that. So gutted the next morning. What a way. All that time to get there. By 9 o'clock, they come and tried to wake me up. Couldn't wake me up. The next two weddings was unbelievably different. I was up the next morning, took the kids to the top of a mountain over Lake
wow.
Kilimanjaro. That was the difference between the two weddings, alcohol free,
Yeah.
And there was other people not drinking. I got on the stage, I got hypnotised. I never would have got up there. If I was drinking, even then I didn't have the front to do stuff
Yeah.
like that. I'd still hide. Yeah, go on, I'll go up. I'm not drinking.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to embrace my first dance. We get married in September, and I'm going to embrace my first dance. I'm going to give it some shapes. But
Yeah.
again, the joyous feeling of waking up the next. I can't wait, actually, to wake up the morning after my wedding with a lovely coffee, with my new wife, with our family, with our loved ones, and just be clear-headed. I can remember the day. I can remember the love in the room, the love for us, and the love for my friends and family. I can't wait for that. And that's one of the joys of being alcohol-free, isn't it? Just the clarity, and you can remember. And I just wondered, when with your alcohol-free coaching, it must be so rewarding helping people, Andy, but also imparting your experience to other people. Your proof that life can get so much better, that anxiety can dissipate. There's so many positives, aren't there?
People get someone they can resonate with, don't they? And
Yeah.
I've got guys and girls really who want to do the same thing. They end up running. I had my first lady, November just gone. She was my first lady to get to 2 years alcohol free last November. She's changed. She's got to the top of her job.
Oh,
Her children are living a different life. She started park run. They do park run. She's just run her first half marathon. She's just her life has changed, but not just hers, her husband's, her children's lives has changed unbelievably. It used to be on the corner of their street, a best friend had a pub and they'd go and play with their children after school for an hour every night. It was just nothing wrong. But now what they do, going to the theatre, like, they live a train ride from London, doing all these beautiful things. It is, it's a different life for them. And I always say, and this is being biased, I'm sure, but I think one of the greatest gifts you can get is being brought up by alcohol-free parents. I really do. I mean, I think it is because, yes, I was always there on the sideline. I was never late, but was I present? Was I motivating to look at, to see your dad finish a triathlon, or just to have more time off and not be as stressed, and to grow his business and to do other things. Their minds are like sponges at that age. They really are. All this stuff, you don't think they're taking it in, but they are. Yeah, you couldn't just never, like I say, never set out to be a lighthouse or inspiring, but you do realise it's humbling. It really is. When you get this text or you get this email that you've helped someone, it really, really is humbling. It really is, Ben.
would you say that's probably the best thing about your choice to become alcohol free, Andy, knowing that you are helping people? Or is it something more immediate that you've given yourself the chance of a happier, longer life? I just what you're most proud of making that huge decision.
I'm proud what I've done for myself, and I think you say about a happier, longer life is really true. We can add, years to our life, but the biggest thing is we're adding life to our years. We can climb that mountain at 60. We can run that marathon at 60. Hopefully still doing them at 70. It's adding, like I said, sitting in the corner of the garden at 70, being forced, being spoon fed, or do you want to be throwing the kids around playing football or cricket? It's how you look after yourself. I was lucky. I'm forever grateful I found this life at 52. It's always that tinge of regret. Why didn't I find it
Yeah.
earlier? You're always going to have that. But no, look, I found it at 52. It's a beautiful thing if you can find it at 32, like my son. What a beautiful thing to do. But all of those, being able to give back, being able to show the way, not being judgmental, not going out there trying to sell it, just being there for the ones who want to stop, who can't. who want this better life, and people getting a few facts, true facts. We've been sold this lie for so long and we've not been given the true facts. Alcohol as it exists, how it's sold now, would not be passed by the Food and Drinks Association.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fit to be sold. It wouldn't be allowed to. This, my sort of pseudonym, Life Beyond Booze, it is moving away from mainstream society. It is ingrained in everything we do, isn't it? We commiserate with it, we celebrate with it, we do all these things with it. We think we calm ourselves down, we relax with it, and then we realise we're not. We're just heightening these things all the time. So many ladies come to me, they're drinking a bottle of wine every night or a bottle and a half, bottle of depressant. Alcohol is a depressant. They're drinking a bottle of depressant every night and taking a citalopram. They're taking an antidepressant every morning for 10 years. It's so normal now. You go to the doctor, oh yeah, take an antidepressant. Not do you drink? Do you get outside? Do you get any steps in? Do you get any vitamin D? It's like, yeah, big pharma, take a tablet, you'll be all right. Not anything else. Blood pressure, my blood pressure was through the roof. Everything is where it should be now. Our bodies, I definitely did a post, it becomes like working like a well-oiled machine, how it should work, instead of just trying to excrete this poison, this ethanol from our body all the time.
Well, you're looking so well, Andy. What would you say is your happiest start to any day, Andy? Would it be just getting out in the fresh air or enjoying that cup of coffee? What makes you the happiest first thing to gear you up for a good day ahead?
Well, I go to bed looking forward to a cup of coffee in the morning, and where I live now, to get outside to watch a sunrise is amazing. I think the sunrise, I love a sunset, but to get up for sunrise, the start of a day, to listen to the birds, to immerse yourself in nature, if you've got time to do it, and you can make time to do it if you want. Like you said, not having enough time in the day. You get the people. I've had it all the time. Oh, I wished I had the time to do a marathon. Tell me that in January when my alarm goes off at 4:30, and I was going out at 5 to do 18 miles before 9 in the morning, going out at -3 in the dark. You make this time. You have to make this time. Everyone everyone wants a view, but no one wants to climb. That's what we say. And you've got to want it enough to do it. You will find the time to do it. And one of the biggest waste of times we've got is drinking. It's not just the time spent drinking, but it's the unproductive time afterwards, and the malaise, and what we do, working in this business instead of working on it. It's like working in your life instead of working on your life, helping other people.
And it's been so lovely to chat to you. I admire you so much. I've been smiling non-stop for the whole episode. You just inspire so many people.
So grateful you got me on, Ben, and like we said at the beginning, if we can help one person, we've done our job. Congratulations on your wedding, mate. I'm sure it will go spiffingly. You won't be looking at your WhatsApp the next day and wondering what I did and all these, how we used to be. It's going to be amazing, and keep doing what you're doing because you're inspiring people, and let's help the ones who need helping, because there's another life out there. There really is.
I absolutely love it. Andy Garwood, thank you so much for joining me in Benjy's Cafe podcast.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks for listening to the inspiring Andy Garwood, proving 100% that there is life beyond booze. Don't forget, a fresh new episode of Benjy's Cafe podcast drops every Tuesday. Just find us wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a follow so every episode gets sent straight to your phone. Tell your friends and tell your family. And if you can, please leave a review. Joining me next week in Benjy's Cafe is the actor Joe Evans. You'll love him. I'll get the kettle on. Have a great day.